Welcome back to the range. Today I'm going to be testing 4 Gamo air rifles in 4 videos, one after the other. So make sure you watch all of them and subscribe, because we want to earn loads of money from this channel. And we can't do it unless you guys subscribe. So get on with it. Right. So the first one I'm going to review is the Gamo Replay. Okay, I think it's called an S10 Replay. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's the 10S. Replay 10S it's called. Replay 10S Africa. Whoa. Maybe we can shoot some hippos with it. And this this gun, I've never used one before. I know a lot of my videos have never used, but it's actually true, because we're using these videos to actually learn about the guns that we sell and to basically test them. And so it's when I say I haven't tested this before or used one, it's actually completely true. Right, we have opened the box though, and my gunsmith has put the scope on. So let's do a box review first and see what's in the box. Right, first thing is a gun, which is really important. Okay, the gun, and what we've done, it comes with the scope, a little 4x32 scope on here with the mounts, and we have already put that on. This is one I prepared earlier. Well, my gunsmith did anyway. Okay, so that's that. It comes with some pieces of polystyrene, like that, and it comes with a plastic bag, which it was originally in and it's not anymore. And it comes with a very tiny little Allen key. Very perfect. Okay, what else does it come with? And that's it. And the usual Gamo box as well. Now on the end of the box, it tells you about the gun. Let's have a look, shall we? It tells you the weight, and it tells you that it's 2.5 kgs, 5.5 pounds. This is a .22 caliber, and the muzzle velocity of this is 720 feet per second, or 220 meters per second. And it also tells you it's made in Spain, but we already know that because Gamo are from Spain, and we know that. Now, what's interesting about the Replay is this. It has a magazine in here, and you load this thing. Now, so magazine here, and every time you cock the gun, it loads a new pellet through from this magazine. And we're going to figure out how this works. Let me quickly take those caps off because they're sort of in the way. Okay, so if we just review the gun quickly, we've got a very hard recoil pad on the back here, plastic stock and a plastic trigger guard, a aluminium type of looking trigger with a safety here in the front. You can see that, boom, 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 there it is. All right, what else? A shrouded barrel. This is a plastic shrouded barrel with a sort of muzzle brake looking thing here. Being an air rifle, doesn't really need it, but it looks cool, doesn't it? It looks cool. It looks like a cool bit of kit. Now, I would always be skeptical about this type of gun, because the more complicated you make an air rifle's loading mechanism, the more likely you are to get jams on it. So, but Gamo make this. They've been making it for years. They've been making air guns for years. So I'm presuming that they've perfected this rather unlikely, unusual looking loading mechanism here, and that it's going to work perfectly. And we are going to see if that is the case. It's got a bit of a grip here, which is quite nice. So have a look at that. That's cool. And the scope is not a wide angle. It's just a circle with a sort of, yeah, with a standard cross in the middle. And it does, this scope, this comes with the gun. 4x32 scope. It's a Gamo scope, and it doesn't have any particular features on it. It's just a straightforward scope. The Allen key they give you is very small. Now, you get a tiny little Allen key, and I can't see anywhere where that Allen key would actually work. So we will try and figure that out. Most of these are all sort of lockables here. This is a sort of hexagonal, these are all hex heads, and there's no hex head with the actual gun. So that's a bit weird. The rail is a 9 to 11 mil, which actually has this raised block here on it as well. There's not too much more to say about this gun. We haven't loaded it, we haven't fired it. We are going to do that now and see if it's easy, if the mechanism actually works nicely. This grip here has got a sort of sandpaper type finish, as has this one here. And I quite like that. That's actually quite nice. So the magazine is quite interesting. You press this button here, and that will release the magazine, a little 10-shot magazine. And then you can pop, once it's full, you can just pop in there, clicks in. What's interesting with this gun, firstly, it comes with one magazine, which, as all of you will know, it frustrates me. It should be 2 or 3 magazines. You lose one, brilliant, I've got another one, doesn't matter. It doesn't come with that. So again, you might have to order that. Okay, so we're going to press that. Now, come over here and look at how we do this. This magazine is spring-loaded like some of the other mags we've been using. And so you can see it'll actually rotate back on. So you have to load up the spring and put 10 rounds in it, load up the spring completely, so every shot the spring is then unwinding and feeding another pellet into the right position. We have just loaded this and it's quite fiddly to do, it took quite a long time. Again, that's where 2 or 3 magazines come in, so you load them up and you can then go shooting and it's fun. All right, this is how we do it. So each pellet, we drop a pellet in, we start on 1 there, we put our finger behind. Now we're using Gamo Pro Magnum here. And what we found is these don't drop in easily. So what we've got is our little Allen key, we're actually just shoving them in. Then we turn it again, like this. And again, we push it in and we turn it again. Now when we're turning it, we're holding it with our fingers because otherwise it'll actually rotate back on itself. We'll do this, we'll speed up this process for you. You can have a good look. Right, so once we've got 10 pellets in, and you can see it is a bit fiddly to do that, what you do is you then drop the pellets into the slot, making sure it's the right way around, but it won't actually click in the wrong way around anyway, so it won't allow you to do that. So you pop that in there we go, and it clicks in really nicely. Now we're ready to shoot this gun. I've just shot it, it's quite nice actually, and it's fun because you just cock and go, cock and go, cock and go, and that is quite a fun mechanism. The only criticism I'd have is the magazines. Nice to have, if you've got a couple of you shooting, one person can be loading a mag while the other one's playing with the gun and shooting, which is nicer, but a lot of these places don't give you 2 magazines, and I think we're going to boycott manufacturers that do that. Right, so what we're going to do, we're quickly going to go back to 15 yards, we're going to try and zero the scope and see if we can get this thing on point. It's very light, yeah, 2.5 kilograms. So it's about 5 pounds, 5.5 pounds, something like that. Pretty cool, eh? All right, let's go. Right, I've just come back here. We're at 15 yards. We've moved the targets forward a bit. I've taken the end caps off the scope. We're gonna have a couple of rounds. Now, what's interesting is this magazine sits here, and somehow this action here puts the pellet into the actual breech, because I don't think the pellet, the magazine is long enough to actually, yeah, I think there's quite a convoluted mechanism there, and I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Anyway, we've heard nothing negative about these guns, so let's see how we go. So you can basically, once you've got the magazine, you cock it like that, put it back, and you're ready to go. Safety's at the front there, no problem. Let's go. All right, so what we've done is we've just thrown the scope on from brand new. It's not too bad actually, it's just down to the left. There's quite a lot of spring bounce, the trigger's quite nice. I think overall I quite like this gun. Again, we don't have to mess around with the breech of cocking it, and we're ready to go, theoretically. What's interesting about the trigger is the first stage really is just loose. It's just sort of flopping around. Yeah, there's no real tension on the first stage, but the trigger's okay. It's actually quite nice. Now, we're going to dial it. Right, if we're going to go up about 2 inches, right 2 inches, where's right? I can't see anything here. Left, to go that way. Okay, let's see if we can get a bit better. We go up a couple more. Up, 1, 2, 3, 4. What's interesting, this gun is very light, and I really like that. If you've got kids, you could, one of the problems with a break barrel rifle is the potential for trapping your fingers if someone lets go of the barrel as they're cocking it. With this, you basically just have to cock the barrel, and you don't have a breech to stick your fingers in and so on. It's actually quite nice, and because it's light, I think junior shooters could really do quite well with this. it's actually quite light, quite accurate as well. We're doing quite well. I'll show you the grouping just now. The other thing I must point out with this gun, on the magazine there's a counter 1 to 10, and so as you wind it back it'll go back to 10. It starts on 10, and as you fire each round the little counter goes down 9, 8, 7 and so on. Okay, so we finished shooting this. We're going to look at the target card just now. I really like this. The trigger's quite nice. As I say, it's quite loose to start with, little safety here. The trigger is quite heavy, but it's smooth. It's very smooth, and you can predict when it's going to go. I've always been skeptical over the years of these plastic shrouded barrels, but I must say we've never had them, never had any comeback. They're obviously strong enough to do what they do, and they don't warp or bend. It's a relatively quiet gun, but that's partly due to the shrouding. And I think this is great. It's actually really fun, and I think I'd recommend this. Oh yeah, this you can take the blocks out of the recoil pad, these little soft rubber blocks here, and if you want to, which just gives you less recoil. But to be honest, there's so little recoil out of this thing that you don't really need that. All right, let's go and have a quick look at the target and see how we did. Right, so these are my first couple of shots. I was getting sighted in here, and we've got 4 or 5 in here actually. It looks like 3, but there's actually, yeah, there's 2 or 3 in there, and that's 1 and 1, and I think that's either 2 or 3. That's quite good. It is a 10-shot magazine. We fired a few into a different target just to sight it, but yeah, that's not bad. I mean, yeah, it's I think for what it is, it's actually a really fun little gun. Because we're reviewing 4 Gamo rifles in this little series we're doing, I'm going to actually rate that as an 8 out of 10. Good, on to the next one. Right, next up is the Shadow DX. Gamo again, made in Spain, very nice. This little one doesn't come with anything much. It's basically as you see it. Now, in the box, we've got the standard Gamo box, like cheap ass box. We have a Gamo booklet in it, okay. Bits of plastic, bits of styrofoam, and that's it, nothing else. They keep their packaging and their accessories down to a minimum. Although Gamo do sell, some of the guns they sell come with scopes and target cards and all sorts of stuff, and obviously they've got a huge range of guns they sell, different air rifles and different packages. So you just have to check when you order what you're actually ordering. Now, the weight of this is 2.8 kilos, and the muzzle velocity is 220 meters per second, and it is in 2.2. Let's have a quick look at the gun. Right, firstly, this is a really tidy little break barrel air rifle, and just from the look of it, I really like it. It's really nice. It's got the cheek piece here, which doesn't actually move up and down. It's just for show. That's all it is. Plastic stock. It's got the Gamo recoil pad where you can take out the chunks of foam in the end to adjust it. Again, these guns really have so little recoil, it doesn't really matter. Otherwise, it's quite a hard recoil pad, but it's comfortable, it's nice. It's got a couple of rubber insets on the grip and on the front grip here as well. These are little sort of rubbery, tacky inserts, which are quite nice to grip onto. All right, the safety just in front of the trigger there. Okay, plastic trigger guard. The rail, 9 to 11 mil rail, with a little Arista screw here, and I like that because you can pop up your mount onto there, and if you want to, you can stop the scope creep if you have any, which sometimes you get, sometimes you don't. Now, one thing I did notice, I just looked through the sights. I like these sights. They're much finer than a lot of the guns we've seen recently. They are the little fiber optic type of glass, green at the back, 2 little rods of that, and 1 red at the front. But the red is really fine, and these green ones are really close together, and that's really nice because it gives you some precision. And we're going to shoot this just now and see if I actually can shoot accurately with it as it is. The rear mount adjustable up and down, the rear sight rather, and the front is a fixed sight with this little metal gizmo that protects it around here. And this has a sort of what looks like a little moderator here, but it's just for show and to hold the front sight. And it just makes it a design quite nice. The barrel is metal with no shrouding, and that's it. That's pretty much all I've got to say about this gun. Doesn't come with anything else in the box. We're going to fire it and see how it is. How will this compete against our Hatsans? Hatsan 85 would be sort of around the same type of gun. We did the little Chinese B2 recently, again, at that sort of range. I've got a feeling this is going to stand up really well. And I do like Gamo are very much mid-range air guns, and they're always coming out with quirky additions and quirky sort of things onto their guns to make them more interesting. But overall, we find they shoot pretty well, and they certainly sell pretty well. All right, let's go and shoot this thing and see how it does. Right, this is very much a standard break barrel air rifle. It's quite powerful, so it's quite hard to cock. A junior shooter might struggle a little bit with it, might need some help. The really nice sights, we're shooting at 15 yards. I'm going to put 10 rounds down, just going to shoot for the bull and then see if we get a decent grouping. The pellets we're using are Gamo pellets. Right, the safety is either on or off. It doesn't reset with each time you cock the gun. It just is where it is. Yeah, make up your own mind which is best. Personally, I mean, we saw the H385, I think, actually every time we cocked the gun it came on. I quite like it. I quite like that. I think it's a nice safety feature. But this is a budget gun, so you're not going to get that with a budget gun. Okay, here we go. The trigger's quite nice. All Gamo seem to do quite well with their triggers. It's got quite a nice take up. It's about 5-6 millimeter with a bit of quite a bit of a weight there actually, maybe a pound or so of weight before you come into the main trigger and fire the gun. I like that. It's very nice. It's nice shaped trigger as well. No, we haven't set the open sights at all. We're just shooting out of the box, straight at the bull, and hopefully all the 10 shots will be in a very small area. I can't see where they're actually going at this point. It's hard to see at this distance. What we're really looking for is the group size as opposed to actually getting the bull, because we're unlikely to get that from the box. But you can obviously set it up yourself to be market. We're not going to do that. We're just looking for the grouping. Right, that's 8 shots. I'm not going to fire more than that. All right, let's leave the gun so we can see if there's nothing in it and it's not going to fire. And then we'll go and see how we did with those 8 shots. Let's go. Right, so here we go. That's 8 rounds in there. And I must say, that's really, really good. It's only 15, 16 yards where we are at the moment. Yeah, about that. I was aiming for here with the open sights. We didn't adjust it. That's out of the box. But that's 8 shots in there, obviously a few in there. That's really good. I really, really like this gun. It's a budget air rifle. The spring bounce is very manageable. It's quite smooth. I would say this is a very, very nice budget break barrel air rifle. Certainly one of the better ones we've tested. And if I look at the other ones we've tested and the pros and cons, I'd be putting this at a 9 out of 10 in this price range. Very nice. Right, our next gun up for review is the Gamo CFX Royal. And once again, here's the box, cheap ass Gamo box. But once you've unpacked it, you can bin the box. It comes with a Gamo manual in several languages. Comes in a plastic bag with a bunch of this and the gun. And this is an underlever, and there's nothing else in the box at all. That's it. It don't come with any thrills or anything. You don't get anything else. So what you get is, one Gamo CFX. Now this is similar to the Hatsan we tested. It would be just below the WireArc HW77. Obviously the 77 came out many years ago, and so this is sort of a copy of that, as is the Hatsan. The question is this any good? We're about to find out. I've never used one of these before. We'll quickly look at review the actual gun. Now it has a wooden stock. And it's not magic wood, it's real wood that grows in forests and stuff, so that's nice. It's got the Gamo ventilated recoil pad here. You can take these little blocks out to make the pad softer or harder, whatever you want to do. Very nice, nice pad there. It's rubber, but it's got a nice feel to it. The trigger with a little safety at the front of the trigger, the aluminium trigger, and unlike the other two Gamos we've just reviewed, this one comes with a metal trigger guard, and that's nice. I like that. The trigger is adjustable. You've got a couple of screw holes here where you can adjust the trigger. It's got a 9 to 11 millimeter rail on it for your scope, and also a hole for an arrestor there. You want to put an arrestor block in there, you can do so. The sights, has Gamo started making different sights since we started doing these videos? Because these sights are so much better than some of the guns we've been reviewing. Much finer. Now, if you watch the review we just did a minute ago, these little green glass things here are very close together, and the rear sight. And the front one is a very fine sight, blade sight, with a little bit of fiber optic red glass on it. And it's really nice. It's really easy to get on point, and it's an accurate sight. And I've been complaining a lot in our videos where you get an air gun with the bloody sights that size, and it's impossible at 10 or 15, 20 yards to actually shoot accurately. This is really nice. I love it. Okay, it has a sort of moderator sort of design on the front here, and your underlever clip here. You pull that back, it clips straight in, but you can pull that back to release the underlever, and then you can cock the gun. We are going to do that in a moment. Not much else to say about this. The weight, now the Gamo specs are on the box. So the weight of this gun is quite heavy actually. The weight of this gun is 2.9 kilos or 6.4 pounds, and shooting at 200 meters per second. We are going to take this back to the range. It's quite front heavy. Yeah, there's a lot of weight here, and you get this sort of solid feel of this whole thing. And I must say, it's quite a lot of weight at the front. What really matters is how comfortable it is to shoot, what the spring bounce is like, and how accurate it is. And we're going to find out right now. Right, one of the interesting things about how to load this gun is this little port here. Now what we do is you slide that over. No, you don't. In fact, it doesn't slide over unless this thing's cocked. Let's open. Let's have a look at this. That's interesting. This locks when the lever is in place. So what you have to do is you have to bring it into bring the cocking lever right back. You can then open this little breech here, and it's a barrel that rolls over. You then slide your pellet down. I hope you can see that. We'll show you that nicely just now. And then you can push the pellet into position and roll it back into place, and then we bring the gun up here. The safety is not automatic. It's either on or off, whatever you want to do with it. This is out of the box. We're looking for grouping, and I'm going to fire 6 or 8 rounds and see how we do out of the box, and see how this thing is to fire. Let's go. All right, so one of the things we noticed with this gun is this, once you've fired, you can't put a pellet in and then cock it, okay, because this is locked. So obviously there's an unlocking mechanism within this underlever. So you bring it back, you then push it forward, and then this unlocks the breech, and you can then put your pellet in. Do be careful to be sure that your pellet goes in correctly, because I just put one in and almost got it the wrong way around. Now if you're dealing with kids, that could well happen. One of the things I've noticed about this gun, because it's quite front heavy, when I'm shooting like this, that weight at the front balances the gun, and I really like that. It feels, right now, it feels like there's nothing in my hands. It's so light because of the way the gun is balanced, and I think that's really good. The front pull on the trigger is about 8 or 9 mil, and it's very, very light. It's there, you can feel it, but it's very light. And the trigger, it goes 2 or 3 mil, and the trigger will go. It's a very smooth trigger. Gamo have done really well with what essentially is a sort of lower range bunch of air rifles. They're sort of, I mean, they're anyway. I said, I suppose they're mid-range to lower mid-range price-wise, and the triggers are really good. I'm quite impressed by them. It's quite a nice system because there's nothing to nothing to jam your fingers in, unlike a brake barrel where we occasionally see people who have trapped their fingers and that's quite owie. This doesn't have that, it's nice. For a young kid, it would be very heavy to use. For your sort of teenage group, it'd be excellent. And definitely enough power for hunting. There's enough, you could bird hunt with this, squirrels, rabbits, no problem at all. Right, I can see where all these pellets are going. Let's have a look and see what's going on down there. So quite interesting. We were just using the brake barrel Gamo a minute ago, and this was 8 shots in here. Now this Royal we're using now, this is the grouping. That's 5 rounds. I'm aiming for the middle of this target here, so it's not particularly good. What I'm going to do is now switch over to here and try 8 rounds. I haven't adjusted the sights at all, so we're actually looking for grouping. So we try and nail in there and hopefully, but at this range with open sights, with this level of gun, we should be able to get about a 15mm, 18mm group. I'd be happy with that. Less than that, not very impressive. So that's the CFX Royal. It's really nicely balanced. If you're resting on something like a tree, or maybe you've got some sort of shooting stick, it's actually really nice. Although it's quite front heavy, it's actually a really nice gun. It also feels like really good quality as well. Now, this is where we're aiming for. There's 5 shots in here. Obviously, open sights. This is about 15, 16 yards. It's not great. It's all over the place. We're using GSP exact pellets. The best thing to do is play with the pellets, get half a dozen different pellets and see which ones these guns like. All air rifles, well, in fact, it applies to nearly all guns actually. Certain guns like certain pellets. It's just the way it is. And you'll find a gun that fires one pellet very erratically, fires another perfectly. And so before you rush back to the gun shop and say, this thing doesn't shoot straight, just play with the pellets. It's really important. So that's where we're going. And we didn't adjust the sights. What we're looking for is the grouping. It's not particularly great. It's about 1 inch and a bit, maybe, about 30mm, maybe 40. All right, so we've got one more gun to review, and then we'll give a verdict on all of them. Right, the last of our Gamo air rifles we're going to be doing today is the Gamo Magnum 1250 IGT. And here's the box, and here's the gun. And again, as with all these Gamo guns, really nothing in the box, just a few bits of styrofoam and a manual, and that's it. And they do that to keep the price down. You know, they they spend the money on the gun and not on the box and the fillings and so on. So what you get that's what you get for your money. Right, this thing here, let's have a look at it. Standard, pretty much standard recoil pad like the other guns we've seen. This is a thumb hole. Now, I personally really like thumb hole stocks. This is it gives you more control over the gun. Some people don't like them. I really enjoy them, maybe because some people might not like them because they're not traditional. That's true, but I think that as far as control goes, they're really nice. It's got a nice little aluminium trigger with ventilation in, and the plastic trigger guard is part of the body of the gun. It's got this sort of sanding design grips, which we saw on one of the other guns, and it's quite nice. I mean, nothing special, cheap as really. Same open sights with the glass, the little green glass at the back, and they're all the same actually, except for the one we reviewed with the scope on. They're all the same, and this rail's the same with the Arista block on all of them. Now this one is quite a long gun. It's certainly a longer barrel and longer action than the other guns that we've been trying. We'll give you the weight now. Just let me check that. So the weight of this is 3.3 kilograms, 7.3 pounds, and it's putting out 250 meters a second. That's 820 feet per second. And all of the guns we've tested today in 2.2. The reason they're all in 2.2 is because 90% of the guns we sell here in Zambia are 2.2 caliber. That's what people want. All right, without further ado, let's jump around and get on with this. It's quite a nice little gun. I think it looks good. It's nice. Got a sort of funky red bit of. Well, it's actually just a band there. I thought it was actually a full spacer, but it's not. It's just a band that makes it look cool. Maybe you can get different colours. Now with this IGT, what does that mean? IGT is inert gas technology, and what it is instead of having a spring in here, we've actually got a gas. This is gas filled, and so just like a normal brake barrel. You break it, but you're not compressing a spring, you're compressing gas. Now, as far as I know, the first people who came out was Theoben in the late or mid 80s probably. The Theoben Sirocco, I think, was probably the first of those guns. And no doubt there's a few more on the market. It's really nice because what you don't get is you don't get spring bounce. And it's a very clean, sort of clean shooting gun. So we're going to shoot this just now, see how it is. And yeah, hopefully this wins the day, we'll see. Well, the first thing I noticed about this gun, with this longer piston, you know, you've got a long spring there, and I've just tried to cock this, and it's really a mission. This is definitely not a gun that a junior is going to cock easily, that's for sure. On a quality basis, this would be just below the Weihrauch HW85, so I wouldn't expect it to be as good in any way because it's a lot cheaper gun, it's about half the price. But you know, it feels like it could compete in that sort of arena. So we're going to give it a whiz. Safety's in front of the trigger, like all of these guns. Let's go. Well, you can hear from the recoil, the noise, that this gun is putting out a lot more power than the other ones. God, it's going to give you a good workout if you own one of these, I can tell you. So the trigger, it's got about 4 or 5 mil, almost free pull. There's a little bit of weight there, but not much. But the actual, when it comes into it, you can feel it's 2 or 3 mil pull before the gun fires. And I must say, it's quite a nice trigger. All of these Gamos surprised me actually how good their triggers are. Certainly a lot better than, say, Hatsan. But they're slightly more, their price point's slightly more expensive as well. Right, that's 5 rounds. Let's go and see how that we did. I have no idea, I can't see anything down there. I hope I hit it. This here is 5 rounds. Okay, we're aiming for here. This is out of the factory. We haven't adjusted the sights at all. This is at about 16 yards, 15 yards. You can see that's 5 rounds. It's about 1-inch group, about the same as the others. So that's our full Gamo lineup. And I really like these guns. There's commonality between them in many ways. The triggers are pretty much all the same type of feeling. The safeties are the same. The recoil pads are the same. But we've got the 10-shot magazine fed, and this one comes with a scope in the box. The reason it does is because open sights on this would be hopeless because you've got this block here. So you have to be able to lift up your sight picture, and they've done that by giving you a scope included in the box. Then we've got the IGT, which is the gas ram technology, and the, I have to get this right, which one's this? The Shadow DX, okay, and then we've got the big thumper here, which is the CFX Royal. So which would I choose? Now, what I would do, I would say that they're all great. For the money, they're all good guns. If I was going to hunt, I would choose the IGT because it's got more power than the rest. It's got a longer barrel, more accuracy, and I think it's a nice gun. It's just below the Weihrauch HW85, and I think you could hunt with it quite nicely. For fun, if I was going to introduce junior shooters, I'd go for the cheaper one here, which is the Shadow DX. This we actually had the best grouping with out of the box. It's really nice, budget junior air rifle, lovely. No kid's going to be upset with that as a starting gun. And then we've got this big chunker here. This is the big lump. This is the CFX Royal. This would compete with the Hatsan, would compete with the Weihrauch as far as looks go and the sort of mechanism. Stick a scope on here and I think we'd get a lot better grouping out of this gun. Suffice to say, Gamo have been in business for years. They all seem to be very nice quality. We've sold a lot over the years. We don't have any comebacks at all. So if you're looking for a gun, then I highly recommend Gamo as a manufacturer. All right, on to the next review. Goodbye.